again the magpies do their squawk and I fetch grandfather. Feels pretty good having a personal army of magpies. Last story. B17. Start kinda having a thing for Jin, but we don't show it because, A, it's a bit like incest, and B, her mother is completely off the hook at this point and would kill us both. One day grandfather goes to tend to his berry patches and doesn't return. We look for him a few hours later and find him on the ground, looking peaceful and composed as hell, like he just laid down to take a nap and never got up. Doctors tell us he died of a heart attack. I'm stunned. The man who took me in after my own family put me aside, taught me all the values I ever held dear, basically kept me alive all these years in a patch of mountain crawling with unknown creatures, was gone just like that. Jin is also inconsolable and we spend a lot of time sitting out by grandfather's favorite fishing spot, not saying anything. We bury him in a private plot. Jin and I go to. A few months later grandmother sells our house and we move to the city. All the dogs are sold too, including mine. I'm too shocked to pretend nothing happened and live with my adopted family, and too angry to live with my biological family. Grandmother gives me enough money to rent a small apartment, barely larger than a closet. Couldn't focus on anything so I fail my college entrance exams. Barely scrape by, flipping burgers and working at gas stations / convenience stores / stocking warehouses. In a way it's more peace than I've ever known, as I see no ghosts in my apartment. Sometimes I wonder about what happened to Jin, as we grew apart, and I knew her mother was off her rocker and sometimes physically hurt her. Meanwhile Jin is accepted to a good college. We decide to go to grandfather's grave and show him the acceptance letter, as well as perform the ritual and just don't talk to each other ever again. It was getting too weird. The whole family follows us, for some reason. It's getting dark. Just before we leave, Jin places her acceptance letter on grandfather's shrine. Suddenly her mother starts screaming. "He's dead, you crazy kids, he can't fucking hear or see any of this shit." She accuses grandfather of being crazy, and then yells at Jin for being stupid enough to believe all the bullshit. We try to argue back but you saw it too. But she's raving at this point. Eventually she calms down enough for Jin's dad to take her back to the car. We just sit in front of grandfather's grave for the longest time. When we finally head back, I swear I can see a bluish flame-looking thing flickering above the grave. Weeks pass. Getting paid just enough to get by, and trying to forget everything that ever happened in my childhood. One night I hear incessant tapping on my window, almost like how the magpies used to tap. Wait, I live in the basement. There is no window. Feel a deep, shuddering cold feeling in my guts. I always thought it was alerting me to a spirit nearby, but now I realize it's fear. I run wildly into the street and catch a taxi to grandmother's house. I can hear screaming inside. The door bursts open and Jin runs out, blood on her arms and her face as white as paper. Something in her mother's head had snapped, and she had grabbed a kitchen knife and slashed at Jin. "What about your dad and grandmother?" "Dad's visiting his family and grandmother was too afraid to come out of her room." Jin swears up and down that just as her mother was about to seriously stab her, a blue flame flickered out of nowhere and lit her skirt on fire. I try my best to calm her down and call 911. Things settle down from there. Jin and I realize nobody else will understand us as well as each other. We're getting married next winter. Her mother is diagnosed with schizophrenia. Grandmother goes to live with Jin's aunt. Thanks Grandpapa. I'll hang around for a bit for any questions. Thanks for hanging on with me for the ride, /x/. Thread about spooky shit that has happened in your town, either to you, your friends, or just anyone you know. Pick not related. I grew up in a small mountain town, literally surrounded by woods and swampy areas and a bunch of lakes, so you could say it was the perfect place for creepy shit to be happening all the time. I'm gonna share one, maybe more than one story from that town. Be me, like 7 or 8. Live in an apartment building near cemetery and hospital. Yeah, the cemetery was literally 2 minutes away from hospital, both were in the woods. Go to sleep one evening after parents. Fuck yes, I'm a grown-up. Gif. Put on pajamas and make bed. Bedroom window faces woods. Dark as fuck, but sun would come. Keep looking at forest before hitting the sack. Look at time, 11:45 a.m.-ish, don't really remember. Not really sleepy, but know the parents will be angry if they found me up so late. Decide to finally lay in bed. One last glance at woods. What the fuck? See 3 figures in woods, clearly not lights. More what the fuck? Stare in their direction until figuring out what it is. My face went people, but really pale, almost transparent. It's a fucking .webm. It's silent around so I can hear them moan and kinda hum? I guess, not sure what the sound was. Fucking weird, new people on drugs I assume. Go to sleep. Wake up next morning, nothing weird anywhere. Go to school, tell classmates. And on you crazy. Never speak of that again until 10 years later. Be 10 years later. Chillin' with homies when one says, let's tell scary stories. Homie numero dos goes, I know one that's real and happened in town. Go ahead homie dos. He then proceeds to tell a story that back then got me fucked up. So the hospital in town has 2 underground floors and you can reach them with one of the elevators. Basically floor 1 is morgue and floor 2 is the vivisection floor. What the fuck is vivisection? Homie number 1. It's when they operate on living, conscious people, experimenting on them and shit. Lol, homie you silly. Keep listening. So the story goes that back in the day, like 15 to 20 years ago, people in town went missing. No one knew why and no one spoke of it. Then soon after, some kids found a weird tunnel coming out of the hospital into the middle of the woods. People went to see and it was all abandoned hospital equipment and empty hospital beds. Later they realized it was the vivisection room. Homie 2 proceeds to describe the room, nothing intriguing so I'll get to the point. They were performing experiments on people. They had taken their eyes out, cut their ears off, kept them in the dark for months, maybe years. Eventually 3 of those people they were experimenting on, escaped and were never found again. They are said to be really pale, almost transparent. People have seen them in woods around town and they say that they only scream, moan and hum, they don't speak. Not true. Whatever man, it's what many people are saying around town since forever. I say nothing more. Creep the fuck out because I never told anyone about the white men group and yet homie 2 knew all about it. Fucking shit, it be true. Fast forward 1 weekish. Go to hospital with homie. Homie needs to take the elevator. Remember that one elevator takes you to secret floor goodness. Get into all elevators, like 4 in total I guess. One has 2 unmarked buttons underneath the basement button. Here we go. AVI. Push buttons. Nothing. Wait a bit, then push buttons again. Nothing. See homie's doctor and ask him about morgue. This hospital doesn't have a morgue. Okay? Go to elevator one last time. Push button. Surprise surprise, nothing. Fucking hell, homie 2 was lying. Later at grandma's house. Ask grandma about white people. Fucking hell, she tells me never to speak about that. Says it was probably someone just having fun, not being harmful. They were fucking naked. My face when grandma is a shill. Leave grandma's place. Spend the next 2 years looking for whites around woods but nothing. Walk into abandoned military tunnels around woods, still nothing. Leave it and just decide to be spooked forever about it. I have stories about abandoned military tunnels, weird figures and lights in the woods, a mass animal grave, and a story of the buttloaded dog bones. We'll share more if anyone interested. Some backstory before I start with spooks. The building I lived in was literally across the street from the woods. It was my house and then a street and then woods. At night it was pretty creepy. But my best friend had it worse cause he lived down the same street but on the other side of it, so pretty much his building was in the woods. So he and I both experienced some spooks together. Mass animal grave, here we go. Be me and best mate. Both be 15 to 16. Walk around woods at around 7:30 p.m. We spent a big portion of childhood and our teen years lurking these woods looking for shit and just generally walking around. Walk near a big water pipe that was going through the forest. We usually go there to hang out, smoke and drink there. Be about 100 to 130 meters away from pipe. Smell hits my nose with the force of Old Spice Double Sun. Fucking what the fuck is that? Dead animal or some shit. Walk about 70 more meters and holy shit that JPG. A mass grave of dead animals in middle of woods. Like 30 to 40 dead animals in there. Go back to get some sort of face masks. Pussies.jpg. Go back with cheap ass face masks. No help with smell. Whatever fuck it.gif. Mate goes into pit with animals to poke them with stick. Fucking idiot pokes them with a stick for 15 minutes. Gets bored and gets out. Head back to town and call up our mates. Tell them what happened. No one believes us, so we get flashlights. It's dark at this point and we want to go there as soon as possible. We head to woods and smell is even stronger at this point. Get to pit and felt like even more animals were there than before. Not possible because late and we never saw anyone go there. Look around and tell mates to go cause whoever did that is all sorta crazy. Go back to town, everyone fucked up. Tell even more people about it the next day. Fast forward like 17 hours. Go to woods with more people. Go to grave location. What.mp4. No smell. No animals. Hole is there but empty and no blood. Everyone is laughing at this point. No one believes us. No grave there ever since. We still speak about that sometimes. Some mates say it happened. Some of the mates who were there say that they're not sure if it was really there or not, and this one guy says that there was nothing there. Well, I know what we saw and it was weird as fuck. Sorry for taking so long to post. I'm writing it up now, don't have them pre-written. Also, am at work. Let's do abandoned military tunnels. Around my town live many gypsies who make a living from stealing metals and other things that can be sold, TVs, car radios, fridges, literally anything. Near my building in my hometown, there's 3 entrances to military tunnels that were used like bomb shelters and defense against enemy forces, I guess. We started exploring them as kids and then it gets interesting. Be me and mates 13 years young. Hey, let's go to the tunnels. Be in front of tunnels, flashlights in hand. Walk in, cell phones lose coverage because tunnels are literally going through a large hill. Walk in, fucking cold, dark and humid. Walls covered in weird writing, names of people, numbers. All done with spray paint so we think nothing of it, we barely notice it. Walk further in, no outside light at this point. Ground is soft for some reason. Shine flashlight on ground, it's covered in black. What is black? Ask mate if he knows what the black shit is. Probably some carpets. What? Keep walking, more soft ground. Shine light at ceiling, walls are fucking tall as shit. Pipes going through ceiling. Someone asks what's in pipes. Pipes are for air coming from the outside. They used pipes to